everybody. Nice to see everybody here for our meeting, the 28th of April 2025. Hello to the gallery and hello to my fellow councillors here. And we have a full council, which is great. So apologies are not necessary tonight. Devonport City Council acknowledges and pays respects to the Palawa Pakenham people as the traditional and original owners in Lotruwita and continuing custodians of this land on which we gather. We also acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal elders past and present. All persons in attendance are advised that it is council policy to record council meetings in accordance with council's digital recording policy. This digital recording of this meeting will be made available to the public on council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. The meeting will also be live streamed on council's YouTube channel. Any declarations of interest, please, from the councillors? No one looking at it? Okay. Fine, thank you. So we'll move on to item 3, which is procedural. 3.1 is the confirmation of minutes. The recommendation is there if I could have a motion.
So moved. Second.
Councillor Murphy and Councillor Ennis. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. New procedure.
Thank you. Councillor Ennis.
Nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, Councillor Murphy to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 3.2 is public question time. 3.2.1 is responses to questions raised at by meetings. There are nil. 3.2.2 questions on notice from the public. The recommendation is there if I can have a mover.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy and a seconder, please. Councillor Bilchinski, thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. The responses are well catered for and are there for all to see.
Thank you. Councillor Bilchinski.
Yeah, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Anything further from the other councillors? If not, Councillor Murphy, I will ask you to close.
Consider it closed, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 3.2.3 is questions without notice from the public. If there are any questions from the gallery, you can come up to the podium, state your name and address, and ask your questions.
Thank you. Petra Wilden, 17 Forsyth Drive, Taylor. 3 questions. I just want to state that good government guidelines state that councillors act with the highest ethical standards, make good decisions that promote the interest of the community they serve, and exercise good judgment. So I think most decisions in last month's meeting benefited sport with huge price tags attached. So Devonport has about 25,000 residents and yet is pouring millions of dollars into sports, possibly, what I think, at the expense of other essential community services. So my first question is in regards to the sponsor money given to the commercial enterprise, the Devonport Country Club. So why has the sponsoring of this event's price tag, which was $75,000 at last year's November meeting, gone up to $95,000 last month, an increase of 26%. So why does the country club require an extra $95,000 when they had already received a large grant? I think it was $200,000 of money from Events Tasmania. And on top of all this money, the country club also managed to secure a grant of $12,500 to upgrade its entrance driveway. So it's a commercial enterprise. I don't understand. So can council please explain how this decision is accountable, ethical, and of good judgment?
Ms. Wilden, it was a country club that applied for the money.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read all the information that they had put into that.
Yeah.
It was a decision on a council that was voted on.
Yes. I just don't understand that all councillors in council So you're all very comfortable giving $95,000 to
It was voted on in council.
yeah,
It wasn't unanimous, but it was voted on council and passed.
yeah. So so everyone agrees that that is good judgment of giving our money to
It was a decision made at council.
yeah. And is there could the public get a bit more transparency on why and where that exactly goes to, and because they already
That would be the country club that you can go and speak to.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Second question is in regards to the soccer grandstand approval at last month's meeting with an estimate cost of $1.5 million. This is on top of the almost finished first grandstand, which has a price tag of $6 million. And the site now includes, I think, around 4,000 seats, change rooms, a gym, and public toilet facilities. Amazing for a small town like Devonport. So this is on top, though, of many millions going to be spent at the Devonport Sports Precinct. So my question on this is, why isn't this just built amazing grandstand not enough? This grandstand on its own might hardly ever get completely filled. So how is building another grandstand cost-effective, beneficial, ethical, and good judgment in smaller cities such as Devonport, especially if you consider many other major issues plaguing our world right now?
Thank you, Ms. Wilburn, but again, it was a council decision.
Yeah.
It has been voted on.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess so. My third question, I guess, will maybe then show a little bit of light why I find this really quite upsetting. So third question is on section 5.6 financial assistance scheme round 2 of this financial year, last month's meeting. 6 out of 7 grants were given to sporting organizations and there were only 9 applications. So I'm keen to know, why were there such few applications, and shouldn't sports only get a certain percentage of grants available? It looks like, I don't know, they get 90% here. As I can think of many other community areas like health, mental health, homelessness, food fans, environmental groups that would really appreciate council's help. So does this show there is something not going quite right in a community engagement and consulting process?
Well, first of all, everybody is very encouraged to apply for the money that we have available.
Yeah.
Get on radio and plead with the organisations to come to us because there's money there for them to apply for. So that's up to the organisations.
I think maybe though.
No, I'm answering you now.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
I'm answering you now.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's not. Thank you, Councillor Murphy. I'm answering you now, so you just need to take my answer, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, and we have a financial committee that meet and go through all the merits and the different proposals that are put to them, and they vote on that, and then they bring it to the council meeting to be voted on and decided, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
So it's up to the organisations to apply. And approach us for the money because it's there for them to apply.
True, but I'm part of
again, it's not open for you just to come back to me on this. If you want to ask further questions, you can take your seat and ask questions at another time. You can write your questions in.
Yeah.
All right.
Just one little statement.
No. You've got 2 questions originally.
Yeah.
And then a third question. It's all good.
Yeah.
But if you want to have further dialogue or further questions, I'm meeting with you soon.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it then.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant, and I can enlighten you a bit further. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions from the gallery? Thank you. Moving on to 3.3, questions on notice from councillors. There are none. 3.4 is notices of motion. 3.4.1 is notice of motion. Recording of council workshops. Councillor Martin, I'm assuming.
So moved.
Moving, thank
Second.
you. And second was councillor Murphy. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I commence, though, my preamble, which will flow outside the 3-minute mark, so I may maintain a flow, I request an upfront of an extension, please.
What kind of extension you want? So,
I think about 3 minutes, whatever's for long.
Okay.
Thank you. Representing the community as an elected councillor is both an honour and a responsibility, and fulfilling this role depends on having access to accurate and complete information. Credibility is essential, as without it, informed decision-making, mutual trust and public confidence begins to fade. This issue strikes at the heart of council's operations and the integrity of workshops. Workshops are intended to foster open, constructive discussions between councillors and the CEO, providing a platform for free dialogue, questions and feedback to guide the development of motions for formal decision-making. The success of these workshops depends on trust, transparency, understanding and a commitment to ensuring that the sentiment expressed in them are carried forward truthfully and accurately. This motion proposes recording workshops and requiring active engagement from remote attendees, strengthen the workshops model by ensuring equitable access. Recording workshops allow any councillors who are unable to attend to review discussions and stay fully informed, fostering a level playing field for all participants. It also ensures clarity, providing a reference point when memories fade or accounts differ, and avoids situations where sentiment is altered or misrepresented without council's full involvement. Mandating visual presence for remote attendees guarantees engagements and prevents misunderstandings or claims of missed discussions. These measures are essential for maintaining the integrity of workshops and supporting informed participation. The example of the Country Club's funding request demonstrates the importance of this motion. In November workshop, various figures were put forward, including 75,000 plus 25,000 underwritten, put forward by myself. However, councillors expressed sentiment that more information was required. In a second workshop in March, a number of councillors expressed clear support for a full $100,000 contribution. When the CEO sought confirmation from all attendees, the sentiment remained consistent with no objections raised, no additional information sought, and no alternative figures proposed. Councillors also had the opportunity to express any further concerns, suggest changes, or request further discussion, but did not do so. This reinforced a clear sentiment and consensus among councillors at the time for $100,000. Mayor, through you to the CEO, a question if I may. After the March workshop, who brought to you the idea of the 75,000 and 25,000 underwritten?
Yes, through you, Mayor. That was the recommendation that we put in the report as officers.
Yes. Did anybody bring that
We
suggestion to you?
talked about that as an executive team. That's where we.
So council come up with the idea.
I think from memory, we put a number of options in the report.
You did? 100,000?
Yeah.
75 and 25 and an open option.
Yeah.
Who come up with the idea of 75 and 25 is the question.
Yes, through you, Mayor. That was that was floated a number of times. I don't recall exactly. There was some councillors mentioned that to me. I think it was actually talked about at one of the workshops earlier on. I honestly can't remember exactly. I think I previously mentioned the deputy mayor contacted me after the other workshop and we talked about it. I might have talked to a number of people about it.
Okay, thank you. So unclear, which also adds to the point of why there's a good reason to record the workshops so we can actually remain clear on what was discussed at that time. Nearly 2 weeks after the workshop, Friday the 14th of March, the Mayor left a voice message explaining that after the workshop, had done some work on the background with $100,000 for the Country Club. The Mayor stated, had some meetings with Brett, had an idea, came up with it. Matthew thought it was workable, gone to Brett and he agreed, conveying a deal done. The Mayor also stated that most councillors had been contacted and were on board with this compromise, except for Councillor Murphy, who had not been contacted yet, though it remains clear if Councillor Murphy was ever contacted. The Mayor then conveyed, so what's going to come up at the council meeting will be $75,000 guaranteed and 25 underwritten. This statement strongly implied that this was the actual motion being presented at the outcome of the council meeting, as no other options were mentioned or indicated for consideration. The statement implied that no more work needed to be taken up by councillors as the deal was done. This approach contradicted the sentiment expressed during the workshop, where the consensus had been in favour of a full 100,000 contribution. At this point, I'll invite councillors to listen to the Mayor's message as soon as he comes on, that actually supports what I've been talking about. For some reason it's gone backwards, but I'll play it in a moment. From the 55-second mark. I can't play the first part of it because I don't think that's relative to what I'm being discussed in regards to why we should record these further workshops. I do mention whilst this is going on, that it's important if somebody is away, whether it be due to illness or holidays or taking a break, that enables that councillor then to come back and revisit that workshop and catch up with the information played. So I'll just play this.
Second thing is, does work on the background with the $100,000 ready the country club. Had some meetings with Brett, had an idea, came up with it. Matthew thought it was workable. Gone to Brett and he has agreed. So what's going to come up to council meeting will be $75,000 guaranteed and $25,000 underwritten. Brett's happy with that compromise, and I've rung all the other councillors or met with them or seen them in my travels, and all of the ones that I've spoken to. The other one I haven't now spoken to about it is Lee. As I said, all the other things, that it's a good compromise. Up to you, you may call back if you want to discuss, but otherwise at least you've got the two heads up on those things. Hope everything's all right with you. Cheers.
Mayor's voice message raised concerns about honesty and integrity, as you just heard me describe, have done some work in the background with the $100,000 Read the Country Club, including some meetings with Brett Kerr and discussions with Matthew. The Mayor stated that Brett Kerr, without being aware of the settlement of the $100,000, had agreed to the 75 and 25. That most councillors were agreed to 75 and 25, and that most councillors were on board, except for Councillor Murphy, who had not yet been contacted. Additionally, I challenged this position in an email that very next day. This clearly contradicts the consensus expressed at the March workshop, where the settlement was in favour of a $100,000 contribution, not a split guarantee or underwrite. It reinforces the concerns raised by myself and Councillor Murphy that a version of events were later presented which did not reflect the workshop discussion. Furthermore, at the March Council meeting, when asked why the Mayor had not recorded the meetings with Brett Kerr, the Mayor stated had not met with Brett Kerr, only having answered his phone call. This inconsistency deserves clarification, including informing the context of the call from Brett Kerr, as somewhere the truth is not being told. So, through you to the CEO, who actually met with Brett Kerr?
Can I answer that?
I'm asking the CEO.
Yeah, sorry, what the question?
Who met with Brett Kerr from the council?
Oh, sorry, in regard to that matter, and some of the
Yes.
staff. Yeah,
Some of your staff.
that's right. I think the community service manager.
Right, thank you.
Mr. Anderson did, but I would say that I'm not sure the questions are relevant to the.
Well, it is because what I'm
Our advice.
trying to do is put an argument up of why these workshops should be recorded.
So would you
So
like to
if
ask
we
me
come-
the question directly, Councillor Martin?
Pardon?
Would you like to ask me the question directly?
I've got a blurb here, thank you.
Oh,
You can have your opportunity to
okay, I'll just ask you.
reply.
Sure.
What is clear is that a deal was done behind the scenes and then communicated to councillors as if group agreement already existed. It's still unclear whether Councillor Murphy was contacted at all, or whether some councillors were informed only after the deal had been made, and some perhaps prior to the deal being made. Altering the sentiment expressed during the workshop without full council discussion undermines the collaborative spirit of those sessions and risks creating the impression that agreements are reached outside the room. Additionally, the Mayor had multiple opportunities to clarify or correct the timeline of events, especially in response to an email outlining my concerns, only having received the reply, "Thanks, you're entitled to your opinion, cheers, Ali." This response does nothing to support informed decision-making or foster trust, and the subsequent silence from other council and CEO certainly highlight those concerns. Recording workshops and ensuring active participation are critical steps in addressing these issues. They reinforce the value of the workshop model and the accountability we owe to one another if settlement If settlement, direction, feedback, consensus, or whatever you like to call it, are to hold weight, there must be confidence that everybody was present, engaged, and had the chance to respond. Without this integrity of council workshops and directions are at risk, and trust, both within the council and with the public, begin to erode. Additionally, these measures help ensure that discussions are clearly documented, leaving the room for no misinterpretation, claims or vagueness, and that the truth be heard, and further strengthens the transparency of the process. The motion is not about revisiting the past, it's about strengthening the process that supports transparency, collaboration and informed decision making. By committing to these values, councillors can uphold their responsibilities to each other and to the community they serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I've given this notice of motion a considerable amount of thought. And I think just listening to Councillor Martin then, the key message or the key word was sentiment that he mentioned. In the last almost 7 years, having sat on council and attended a number of workshops, it's generally considered that direction is given, and that's our role as councillors, to provide direction to the executive for them to bring back that report or that direction in such a format which we can debate and then make a resolution on. Subsequently, in the period of time that I've been here, and then numerous occasions that has occurred where the CEO or the general manager has asked for a consensus so as to allow or sentiment of the room, allow them to provide a report to council, has been quite regular, and that's our role. It's not a formal decision, but it provides the direction for the council executive to bring a report back to us to actually debate and then make a formal resolution on. Subsequently, the issue that, and I support this notice of motion. I think we all stood on this platform of accountability and transparency, and this is more about accountability than anything else. I agree with what has been put in the notice of motion with respect to the process around listening to the recordings as they're made, as per if considered as they would be in a closed session recording, where you actually have to request through the CEO to actually listen to that information, even just for refreshing purposes or reassurance that, okay, yeah, that's where we're at. However, I think the reasoning behind Councillor Martin bringing this notice of motion, which I don't agree with the officer's comments on, is more around being accountable to the direction that we provide. But more importantly, it goes back to the team commitments that we all signed on to at the beginning of this this term. And the fact that providing information and sharing information, we have a number of mechanisms to do that. We have Teams, we have email, where we can openly communicate and provide feedback. But in this particular situation, which there was a fair amount of angst on that night when, from what I recall, the night of the last council meeting, when I questioned whether the mayor and the deputy mayor had colluded outside of the workshop with respect to putting this particular position to council without engagement of others, including myself. I was advised by the mayor verbally at a function, and that I was already aware of it because I'd already been contacted by the general manager of the country club at a prior function. So there is a little bit of, I think, gamesmanship, if you like, with respect to engagement with all councillors. And one of those team commitments will be informed and aligned by being honest with one another and sharing our objectives and our positions. Sharing all relevant information so we can make informed decisions. Staying aligned on our shared goals outlined in the term plan priorities. Now, as I said, in nearly 7 years, this has never been an issue for this council. But it now seems to be that we need to take steps such as this to actually address it, to ensure, and someone who quite regularly, for various reasons, work commitments and whatever else, family and stuff, has to attend workshops. I think I attended 4 or 5 there potentially in a row where I wasn't here, but I attended via Teams. I think what Councillor Martin's put in his notice of motion is quite relevant, that if you're not prepared to be present on the screen, you shouldn't attend the workshop. It's pretty simple, because who knows who else could be in the room making statements or comments, listening in on, we don't have the opportunity to bring people to workshops there for us. So I think we need to really consider whether this is going to benefit council and our community, which I think it will, and will go a long way to alleviating similar types of issues into the future. But more importantly, it provides the catalyst for transparency and accountability. And it's more the accountability stuff than anything else. So I agree with the officer's comments with respect to, under the Local Government Act of 93, that decisions, outcomes and workshops are non-binding. However, if we go back and review a lot of other things that occurred in workshops, and if we then review some of the minutes from council meetings, it is quite regular that you see the word sentiment. It was expressed by the council at the workshop, hence the reason for the recommendation from the council officers for us to debate and make a decision on. So I think it's a shame it's had to result to this. However, I would encourage you all, if we've all stood on a platform of being accountable and transparent, that this is only one more step that ensures that we have a mechanism there to do that.
Thank you. If I might answer Councillor Martin's accusations or statement that he made, I certainly had meetings with Brett Herbert prior to any discussion about the 75-25 idea. The only time I talked to Brett about the 75-25 was when he called me. He had a call from a council officer, so he rang me about it and asked me. I didn't bring it up to him. You asked me that the other day and I answered that. Perhaps if you just answered my phone call, we could have cleared all this up from the beginning. But no, you want to write huge essays in emails to me, that's fine. However, I did call you to have a discussion, and my next call after I talked to you would have been to Councillor Murphy. But I didn't get to talk to you on the phone. So that's all right. That's up to you. Totally fine with me.
Just a
I,
point of clarification there.
yes, no,
I do work full time.
yes, I
I work
understand.
with
But you
young
can call me that
people.
night,
No, I didn't because I had other
but you can write a huge email.
other commitments. Yes, the next one when I sprint on, I wrote the email, so I had it in writing, so I knew what was being said and I had a record of it, of what was being said.
No problem.
Thank you. Well,
Thank
I don't
you.
know what your problem is.
So I'm just explaining that I did speak to Brett on the phone. And he called me because the council officer had asked him about what he thought about that. And he just wanted a little bit more information from me. So I just talked to him about it. I didn't say it's voted on, it's a definite, this is what I said, oh, there'll be other options.
Point of clarification, your voice message that I played,
Yeah.
but says
Yeah.
that you met with Brett, worked on the $100,000.
I didn't say when I'd met with Brett, it was prior.
You had some meetings with Brett,
I had.
which was in reference to the $100,000.
Open
So-
to interpretation, councillor Martin. Thank you very much.
So that's why you phoned
But
me.
it
That was all on the one issue.
One phone
Thank
call.
you.
He rang me. I spoke to him. I told him that there would be other options. I rang around the councillors, letting them know that there was a different option. That's all. I wanted to see, let them know that Brett had, was aware of it. That's all. I was just trying to help
Point
him.
of order, man. If I may, if that is the case, that from your position as mayor, for you to contact the general manager of the country club.
I didn't. He called me.
Sorry, he called
Thank you.
you, but you just made a statement that you provided him advice with respect to what was going to be in the council report.
Because he'd been told, no. He asked me about what a council officer had said to him. That's all. And I just workshopped it with him on the phone going, I don't know. How would that look? I don't know. I hadn't brought it up to Brett at all. He
Yeah.
asked me. Did either of you ring Brett and ask him?
Spoke with Brett.
No, he spoke to me.
I thought it was a good idea because I didn't want him to get only 75. I know he needed $100,000. So I was trying to find if there was a way. So I was just talking to him on the phone about it. That's all. But it came up as options at the meeting. There were 3 options. Remember? All good. Thank you.
Yes, I do remember as a point of clarification, Mayor, but I still revert back to your phone call and the context. of
Are
your
you
phone.
asking a question now, Councillor Martin?
No,
Thank you.
point of clarification.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Councillor Hollister.
We have workshops all the time. And after that, we can give an indication of what we think, but it's up to the staff and the general manager to put the agenda together. And if they think there's something else could be an option, there's no reason they can't put it in the agenda. It's done all the time. Also, federal and state governments don't record their cabinet meetings. Nothing gets done until it actually goes to Parliament. It's no different here. Nothing gets done until we get to a council meeting. I believe this motion is just a waste of time for council's staff. So I'm not going to support it. Doesn't happen in other governments, but I don't see why it should happen here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lynch.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question, if I may, through the General Manager, do other councils record their workshops?
It's 3, you mean, not that I'm aware, I'm not aware of any that do. They may, but I'm not that I'm aware.
Further questions from the councillor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Lynch.
I'll come back to some points, I think. I'll wait for others to speak.
Oh, no, if you'd like to now.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So from the officers' support there, and sort of echoing what Councillor Hollis has just said, like we know that those discussions in workshops are non-binding, and I mean, not being at the meeting last week, and at times I've been in workshops and online, and I can certainly understand what Councillor Murphy is saying about if you're not on camera, then are you really present? I mean, the reality is if I'm on camera and you're watching me cook my kids' tea, and the alternative is I miss out on that workshop entirely, I don't think that's fair to me. I understand what you're saying, but I believe that the way that the workshops are conducted, it allows for an informal, robust discussion. I think some of what we've seen in this meeting so far is rolling into an informal, robust discussion that we would normally see in a workshop. I like to have that additional time from the workshop to the meeting to let those ideas marinate. there's been talk about general sentiment from workshops, and I'll agree with that. But after speaking to other council officers or members of the public, my decision from a workshop to a meeting can do a full 180. And I've come into meetings and listened to what other people have had to say, and my decision is 180 the other way. And that's the idea of having all that information ahead of time, so that when we get to this point of a meeting, we're in the best position to make those decisions. And that's why I generally come to meetings with an open mind, so we can have that discussion and make that final decision or resolution. I'm getting the feeling that a part of this motion is to almost entrap councillors or the mayor into a gotcha moment, and I don't see the purpose of it. I like that the workshops are more informal. I like that I'm allowed to perhaps be a bit more colourful with my language, and that isn't shared publicly. And I'm not going to support the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Moore?
I'm not going to be supporting the motion tonight, although I just want to say there are some points in the motion that I think are good, and if it was by itself, I would support them. I do agree with the councillor engagement and the cameras having to be on and noted when they're turned off. I would even go further in terms of the confidentiality, making sure that people have nobody else in the room at the time that they're listening to a workshop, so that we keep our confidentiality the same as we do in workshops here. But I won't be supporting the first point. And pretty much the reason is, Councillor Martin, what you just did then by playing the mayor's voice message is exactly the reason that I wouldn't want our workshops recorded, because we have informal conversations, and workshops are the best place for those informal fleshing out of ideas. And we should be allowed to change our mind, and we should be allowed for our vote to be only counted on the night. I agree with you about the sentiment of the workshop that night and the direction. I don't believe we actually took a straw poll, but it doesn't matter. I believe that the sentiment was correct in what we asked council officers to come back to us on. But I still want the right, and I don't want myself recorded in a workshop as I struggle and marinate and think about these ideas. I don't want that recorded and played back to me as an accountability measure 2 weeks later. If you remember the night of the country club vote, I actually came into the meeting thinking that I would support the 75-25 split that I had got a call from the mayor about. But the listening to the compelling arguments is why I actually voted for the first motion, the 100,000, which I know did not get up. But we have to be allowed to actually make a decision on the night and not be held accountable for every word we speak while we are making this decision. For those reasons, I won't be supporting the motion.
Further comments from the councillors? Councillor Ennis?
Thank you. I too was taking notes, and I've written. It sounds like we're trying to get to a gotcha situation. I think any time we do discussions, or the whole lot, is it all going to be recorded? This is a way to stifle open and frank discussion. I think the opportunity for people to think, and I too change my mind after workshops, and sometimes before the vote. I come along with an idea of how I might think, but listening to other people then sometimes changed my mind. I don't want to be held to my initial thoughts or someone else's initial thoughts. I'd like to be flexible. I like to have all the information, and by listening to others, can come up with some sort of idea that I'm happy with, so we can progress. So I just think recording everything that we do is counterproductive.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from the councillors? Councillor Gorczynski?
Thank you, Mayor. Reading this and being, well, I'm not new now, but first term, workshops are really good to be able to speak your mind, understand what's going on, ask difficult questions, And it does get a bit robust, and I'd hate to see we lose that, because I think we need more of that to get the final decision right for the community. So yes, we often come to particular points in a workshop, and we then ask the employees to go away, executive officers, and find an outcome that we can work with. I think we need to continue that, because that allows us to think, not just react on your feet, because sometimes those reactions aren't good. So look, I don't like the idea of the recording, for the fact, not that I feel that I would say something I wouldn't stand by. Whatever I say, I would stand by. But I think it allows us to have a more robust conversations around the table, not just one-on-one. So that's my point of view.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister, did you have a question?
Yes. General Manager or maybe the Finance Officer. There's 75 and 25 under it. Would have been $20,000 cheaper per council if the government had to make a
Point of order, Mayor.
That's
What's this got to do with the notice of motion?
Who's running this meeting, Councillor Murphy?
Made a point of order, Mayor.
Thank you.
Basically, we could have saved 20,000 if we'd have left that.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yeah.
What's the relevance to the notice of motion?
Are you getting to the point, Councillor? That's a good question.
He's raised something that's outside of the notice of motion.
We have made that decision.
There we go.
Which is relevant to the notice of motion.
I'll let it lay on the table then.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, I'll ask.
Question, Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I'm just listening to my fellow councillors, and I've just got a number of questions actually.
You can ask a question.
I can ask more than one, can't I? Just with respect to the direction, the question is, direction from councillors at workshops, do they carry any relevance if we are only going to leave it up to the council executive to bring information back to councillors to make a decision or debate on? Because my question would be, what would be the relevance then of councillors whose role it is to provide the direction of council?
It's quite simple. We don't make decisions at workshops.
I get that.
We can get a consensus,
But what
we can get an idea, but it doesn't mean that we have voted on it until we get to the meeting, which all of us know, including myself.
I'm asking the question.
How many questions are you going to keep asking, Councillor Murphy, until you just keep asking questions?
Oh, no, I'm just got a couple of questions that just raised from the comments of my fellow councillors.
But it's not.
Just seeking clarification with respect to if the situation is.
Are you asking a question?
Yeah, if it is the situation where councillors are no longer required to provide direction to the council
No one said that.
executive. Well, it's sort of alluded to.
No, you're alluding now. That's convenient.
It was stated by one of my fellow councillors, Mayor. I'd have to go back and check the video recording just to find out.
Are you asking a question relevant to the motion, just like you had a go at Councillor Hollister?
I'm raising a question relevant to the information that's been provided by my fellow councillors, Mayor. That's all I'm asking the question on.
Is it relevant to the motion?
It is relevant to the motion, yes.
Go on.
I've asked the question, you haven't given me the answer. You keep on trying to stifle me from asking the question. I've asked the question twice, so I'll ask it for a third time. Is it relevant there with respect to councillors at workshops providing direction to the executive, or, as has been stated, does the executive go away independently of council and doesn't require our direction to bring back a report for us to make a decision on?
Well, that's around that. You go for it.
Through to me, I can provide some clarity on that. But as officers, we appreciate the feedback that we get from councillors at a workshop. We take that on board. But ultimately, the officers' advice and the reports that we provide as part of the agenda, we stand by those and I'm responsible for that under the Act, for that advice that's provided.
Thank you. That's not that hard. Second question, if I may.
Last question. Go on.
How can you determine the last question if we sat here and had a conversation around?
Because we could be here all night.
So what?
Okay.
Am I not, as a
Am I
representative
chairing this meeting or not, Councillor Murphy?
am I not
Am I chairing
entitled
this
to
meeting or
ask
not?
questions here during a debate?
Don't answer me. Am I chairing the meeting?
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Thank you.
Am I being unreasonable in being,
I'm
am I
quite
not
happy to-
entitled to ask
I'm happy to wrap that
questions?
gavel and leave at the moment.
That's, I can't
Right.
control
Ask
it
me
either.
one more question. Thank you.
Question. Why, the statement was made with respect to, during workshops, being able to speak freely, openly, and this, that, and the other. I can't remember the correct wording. I have to go and check the video recording. Why are we afraid to speak our minds in council meetings? Why can't we speak our minds here at a council meeting? Why do we need the protection of a council workshop? Why don't we have the confidence to come to a
Who
council
are you asking that question?
meeting? I'm asking it to you. I'm asking it to my fellow councillors. The statement was made, man, that people feel more comfortable being able to speak freely. Why? Well, I understand now why, because obviously if it's a time thing, we run out of time, we don't have enough time, or we need to get home early, or get threatened to have the gavel banged on you because you want to ask a
Point of
question.
order, Mayor. Is Councillor Murphy going to answer his own question?
I don't know.
I'm asking the question.
Who to?
To
Councillor
you. You're the chair.
I didn't make that statement though.
I'm just asking why.
Who did you ask the question to?
Why are we afraid to speak our minds?
I heard the question.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, make that statement.
Okay.
So who are you
There you
asking
go.
the question to?
Or is anyone else going to answer
I'm
it?
happy to answer it if I'm allowed.
Thank you.
I'm happy to answer it. I don't think it's a matter of being scared to voice our opinion while we're at a meeting. It's the fact that you use questioning, you're finding out information. You might find out a small piece of information. You might say something about it and then, Councillor Murphy or Councillor Martin, they might give you some more information. I don't really want to have that discussion in front of all the public every time I get new information or I learn more or I make my decision. I should be allowed to question and actually think about the subject matter. In council here now, I can speak my mind. I have no problem speaking my mind, but I'm not going to go through the full process of making a decision in front of all the public.
Thank you.
Last question, Mayor, if I may.
Oh, no, I said the second question, that was it.
Does the notice of motion
I said a second
refer
question.
to
Councillor Murphy.
the information not being public?
Councillor Murphy. Thank you. Any further comments or
That was
questions
just
from the councillors? If not, I'll ask Councillor Martin to close.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the robust discussion. I believe that workshops should be free and open and have free discussion. But unfortunately, I've experienced where that free discussion has halted outside the room where I feel that a deal has been made without the involvement of councillors. I think that's an injustice. I don't think that has been responsible, and I don't think that has been fair. Especially when we start looking at our rules and what we've undertook to abide by. I can't find it at the moment. And what we said that we were going to agree to on how we act together and sharing information, being honest and having integrity. I think that the way I put this motion and spoke to it about it, I had to give an example of why I feel that this motion should go forward, and that is recording of workshops. It is not there to stop people from talking freely. You would have to ask permission to be able to view that recording and have a good reason for the CEO to allow you to be able to access Besides that, if anybody is away on holidays, interstate or whatever, family commitments or ill, they can actually go back and view that workshop and catch up with the information that's been provided on the night. So when you turn up to a meeting, you are able to make an informed decision, or prior to that meeting, you are able to ask questions of the CEO or mayor or fellow councillors and bring yourself up to speed so you can make a weighted decision. It's not taking away the right or opportunity to change minds at council meetings either. It's about having a recording so we know what we've talked about and that we can refer back to it if memories fade or I can't remember or I don't recall. As I said, there's a safety mechanism in there. I use an example. It wasn't pointed out at gotcha moment, but I had to make an argument to try and change minds. Unfortunately, if it doesn't, it doesn't. And that was an exact reason why I think that the discussions and the workshops with the Devonport Country Club and what's resulted in 2 weeks after was a dog's breakfast. I've never incurred that in all my years, whether as mayor and chair or as a councillor. It's never happened before. And then to realise that a deal has been struck, as pointed out on the mayor's conversation, away from council meeting. That Brett has agreed to the 75 and 25. So that took away any options that the country club would have thought that they had 2 weeks prior to the council decision making. And I think that's an important point, because we can't have anybody willy-nilly going out and then all of a sudden changing what we believe to be a sentiment going to be expressed at a council meeting. That would be then debated on further, and then minds could be changed if they wanted to be. But the facts remain that you'll be able to openly discuss it and make an informed decision on the information provided. I'm not sure that all the information was provided. I'm not sure if each councillor actually got the same information, whether they're before the meetings with Brett Kerr or after the meetings with Brett Kerr. And now there's another point that comes into it, that was had meetings before the workshop. So I find that confusing and somewhat unraveling of what we should be actually looking at. This is about promoting accountability and truth and fairness. It's not about drilling everybody at a workshop in 6 months to come or asking stupid questions. It's about providing that opportunity to go back and reflect and catch up and find out that if you were wrong or if you were right in what you said or somebody said to you, and you've got something to fall back on instead of faded memory or I don't recall, because that also helps form your decision-making process moving forward until the council meeting where you're free to change your mind again. If it's the will of the council not to record workshops, that's okay. I'm in favour of speaking freely at workshops. I just think that the last example that we've had with the Devonport Country Club was a dog's breakfast and it should not have occurred. And that's why I put this motion forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Yeah. I'll have a show of hands, please. All ayes. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Martin. And against? Councillor Hollister, Councillor Viney, Councillor Moore, Councillor Shan, Councillor Jarman, Councillor Anderson, Councillor Wilczynski. The motion is lost. Thank you. Item 4 is planning matters, which we have none. 5 is reports. 5.1, Tasmanian Canine Defence League. I have the recommendation there. If I can have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Viney, thank you. And a seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Hollister, thank you. Councillor Viney.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is for additional funding to run the Sprayton Dogs Pound. I see they've obviously had increase in operational costs and have requested a bit over $19,000. The dog pound's actually a really good example of inter-council collaboration and cooperation, because it's not just Devonport that operate that pound or fund that that pound. It is also the Latrobe and Kentish councils. The recommendation there before us is to not provide funding for the full 19,000, but rather 50% of that, which would be an increase in about $9,500, which would make Devonport's annual contribution for the running of that facility from $55,000 up to about $64,500. Personally, I think it's a sound investment for us as the largest council in this municipality. Through the report, I read that they're taking in 5 to 15 dogs a week, whether they're strays or to be rehomed. I would hate for that facility not to be available. I think it provides a wonderful service and gives a lot of those dogs a second chance of being rehomed. So I think it's prudent of council to approve the 50% of what they've requested, and note that hopefully through community fundraising or sponsorship, they'll be able to find the shortfall themselves, noting that additional funds will fall within our next operational budget, and we should be able to find that without too much trouble. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
Yes, I think we all know what expenses are increasing at the moment, and this organisation is no different. So I think they do a good job. Hopefully they'll stop dogs biting people. I got bitten once.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, Councillor.
Yes, I just think it's definitely worthwhile for us to keep it going, and the 50% funding. What I did read in there, that they've actually done a really good audit of their business, and I think that would have helped them in the beginning as well, so they wouldn't be asking for more now. But can't go back to history. They're doing it now, and they're working well with that. And maybe a 10-year MOU is not the way to go. It should be probably 5 years, but they've got time to go out. But it's great to see that they've done a total audit and reconciling all their costs. Thank you.
Thank you. For the comments, Councillor Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to the CEO. Is the funding allocation indexed?
Through to Ms. Lunsford.
Through you, Mayor, yes, it is annually.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Further comments, questions? If not, I'll ask Councillor Viney to close, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 5.2 is the FOGO and recyclables contract. The recommendation is there. If I can have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy and a secretary. Second. Councillor Sheehan. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. The recommendation is there just to
Sorry.
receive and note the achievements of our community. Most significantly is the $137,000 that it saved the ratepayers, Devonport, and the state government's waste levy. It really does demonstrate in a very, very detailed report that our community has embraced FOGO. Yes, there are still teething problems. I really look forward to filling up my FOGO in my grass clippings. It's really good. I don't put them in the trailer anymore. So I think for me, it's more about the numbers, and to see the fact that we've potentially saved the ratepayers of Devonport $137,000 that would have to be found somewhere to cover the state government's waste levy, and the fact that it meets two of our strategic plan objectives, living lightly on the environment. Look, it's a great report. It's really interesting, and there's not much to do. We just got a note report.
Thank you. Councillor Moore. Sorry, I thought it was Councillor Sheehan. It's Councillor Michael.
I concur with Councillor Murphy. Good from a financial position, also good from an environmental position. Also, I was pleased to see the pass rate of the bins. So the amount of people that are actually doing FOGO correctly and only putting what needs to be in the bin. It says here on our report, 67% of people put out their bins, passed their inspection and are doing the right thing. I was interested that 27% actually didn't put their bin out on this particular day. That's quite a large amount of people that I still think maybe we need to work on making sure they're educated so they can use their FOGO bin. But if you take out the people that didn't put their bin on the curbside, then you've got a pass rate of like 7-8, I think it turns out to be, which is a pretty good rate for our city. So well done.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? Councillor Buczynski.
Yes, it just our community has taken it on board really well. The money is really great, but also for the environment, the methane from 165 tonne or something, or sorry, I've just lost my spot there. Sorry, 1,163 tonnes is not going to go in the air. So because we've got a closed system, FOGO system, where all our waste, you don't get the evaporation of the methane gas. So 2 ways of looking at that, money and the environment, and it's part of us living lightly on the land. And Dalberton is a great business that councils work with each other on. So there's more to come out of that, I think. But brilliant to see. Well done, Devonport.
Thank you. Councillor Ennis.
Thank you. I was taking note of the weight of the recycling bins, and I'm sure they'll go down shortly once the 1st of May arrives, and we can take those containers back and get 10 cents for each one. Won't be putting them in the recycle bin anymore. I'll be down there to put them in the slots. So that'll be another good thing for our community.
Thank you. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it's a great result, and I concur with Councillor Ennis, as well as the 8 month savings of over $137,000 ratepayers' money. I simply encourage all of our community to continue the good work and to lessen the contamination. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
It's interesting in the tonnes in July and August, which I suppose is towards the end of winter. So when you get to September, October, start of spring, the tonnage virtually doubles. So I thought was pretty interesting.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Vaughn.
Thank you, Mayor. We've pulled out some good numbers there with savings and pass rates on our bins. I found another one that the diversion rate for Devonport is currently at 54%, with our goal of 60% by 2028. We're obviously well on our way to that. We might have to tweak that up a little bit before 2028. And from that, the bin use summary there, if we've got a third of our residents either not using it or not quite using it properly, we've got plenty of room to divert more from landfill. So really good news, this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? I must admit I had the pleasure of going out to Dalberton the other day for us to welcome in Birmingham City Council and the Circular Head Council to join the FOGO fight, which is just fantastic. I think they're starting about July, and it's only going to be upwards from there. If all the communities in the North West Coast could really get on board with this system, it's certainly saving that mountain of rubbish that is just appearing. As I've always said, started with one when I was there, and now there's about 12 mountains of rubbish out there. Everybody should go and visit Dalberton and have a tour. Every school child, every adult that can should get out there to see where their rubbish is going and what is happening there. There's a really clever system out there with Dalberton. We're very, very lucky to have that organisation and what it does. I'm really proud, and as I've always said, FOGO is your friend, and all it's going to do is be a friend for everybody and for the environment and for the world entirely. In South Australia, they already have 4 bins. They have another bin now for just glass. I can't wait till we actually get to that point too. Things are improving all the time and it's only going to be better for everybody. So I'm very pleased to see those results, and if we can save money, all the better. I will ask Councillor Murphy to close.
Consider closing it.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
And against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.3 is updated council allowances, expenses and provisions of facilities policy. The information, it's all there. If I could have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy and a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Hollister. Councillor Murphy.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is just a procedural thing that needs to occur from a legal standpoint with respect to covering our backsides and more importantly, the ratepayers as a result of some court decisions and another LGA within Tasmania. It's pretty clear, it's pretty self-explanatory, it's very legal, but there's nothing untoward in there to be considered, and I encourage my councillors to support it because we need it.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
Bit in there about the code of conduct. Do you think the changes that have been made is going to be any better? That in the past, you've probably been better off to go to the Supreme Court rather than go through the code of conduct in like a lot of other councils. Do you think this new this coming has made any difference?
There's been a lot of improvements done so far. Yes.
Yeah, it's through you, Mayor. This policy doesn't directly talk about the code of conduct process, but it, with the new legislation that's come in, there's now a first step where code of conduct complaints are mediated at a local level before they're escalated. We haven't experienced any of those here yet and haven't trialled that system. So this is one will tell whether it's effective or not.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? If not, I'll ask Councillor Murphy to close.
Thank you, Mayor. It is a significant piece of work that we need as councillors and council employees, so that there is some clarity with respect to what councils can do financially, but more importantly, the level of prudence that it eliminates the risk that can be mitigated through these types of actions. So, yeah, I'll now commend for decision.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. So 5.4 is the renewal of parking infrastructure. The recommendations are there. If I could have a mover, please. Councillor Hollister.
Second.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Hollister.
Yeah, this recommendation is for a major upgrade to our parking capital works. I think all our parking meters and machinery are at the end of their life, and we have to walk through around town or through the car parks, and you can see all the ones that get broken. People can't get them to work. I can't help them much either. So, which results in phone calls to council staff to come and sort things out. So I think it'll save council a considerable amount of money by upgrading what we have.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think this recommendation is just a sign of the times. The fact that technology nowadays is moving so quickly. Devonport's prided itself on being a smart city, and the fact that, even though it's disappointing that, if we take Market Square car park, for example, 8 years old and the machinery's outdated already, like it's just, it just gives an indication of how quickly things are moving in this space and the technology changes. And again, as stated, that Devonport prides itself on being a smart city. It does provide a level of common sense, but more importantly, the savings that come with that over the longer term. But again, there's going to be some teething problems, and we're going to have to acknowledge that. Not everyone is going to be able to get on board straight away. And, it's like anything. Change is going to be hard for some people to accept. However, this change will be for the better. And again, it provides the council a lot more flexibility with respect to keeping things updated at a lesser cost. I think the number plate recognition technology has come such a long way. We've all seen the pizza boxes on the side of the road, and the fact that they can tell whether you're on a mobile phone or have a got your seatbelt on, or whether your car's registered, say, in a split second, is pretty cool. So to have that type of technology, and there wouldn't be too many other places, I don't think, around the state that would actually have that technology. So again, Devonport's going to be at the forefront, and I think that's where we need to keep moving as a city, because it goes to our livability. So I commend it for endorsement.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think it's we need to upgrade our equipment and technology. It will certainly provide more efficient egress for users from the marketplace car park. It will increase efficiencies in maintenance, especially part availability and replacement. And of course, ease for users, especially from interstate, because it's available interstate already in Victoria and New South Wales. It is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Yes, happy to support this recommendation. I think for me, the improvement of customer experience is one of the most important things in this report. Nobody likes to pay for parking. That's the truth. But it's good for anybody that visits the city to contribute to the revenue, not just the ratepayers of Devonport. And so if we can make it easy and accessible for people, I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. Councillor Berczynski. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
I'm really excited. I think this is quite exciting. I was on the parking strategy earlier in the year. A smart parking solutions for all our parking. So they're all uniform. They're all the same type of way of paying your parking. Digital parking has gone so far above, and like our youngest is 6 years, which they were second hand, and digital is way past that, and 35 years on the other end. So I just can't wait, because paying through no hassles, reducing hassles, encouraging visits, parking availability in real time, pay through an app or by coin, but the education of it is what we really need to do when we get it all in one picture. And the sooner we can do them all, the more unique we'll be as a city. No, it's brilliant.
Thank you. Councillor Ennis. Sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you. I would say that did like Councillor Murphy, 8 years, and we're now moving on to something which is well out of date, to something that's going to be right up to date. That's a really good thing. I think this is a good step in that people can still pay with coins. Many people now are very comfortable with coins, and so this is a step towards it, and dare say the next time it might be will be contactless and no coins.
Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, Mayor. I was hoping to share a personal experience in terms of a customer experience with the multi-storey car park. After the Symphony on the waterfront, I'd actually parked on the upper level because it was completely full. It was great to see. And then as I was about to leave, I noticed that the car that was wanting to leave hadn't paid for their parking yet. And unbeknownst to them, they would have had to park their car, headed back down, and paid at the 2 pay stations, come back up and get in their car. So being the good Samaritan, I let them through the boom gate, because the council pass allows that, and they would still have to pay on their way out. In that time, another car had come in behind it, same problem. I had to talk to them, explain what was going on. In that time, another 2 or 3 cars. So in the space of 2 or 3 cars, because obviously everyone's leaving at the same time, my car's now blocked in, so I'm not leaving anyway. So I then stayed at that moon gate for the next 45 minutes, talking to people and explaining, yes, you can pay on the way out. I'll let you through this time. had some great conversations with visitors from other towns and from interstate, plenty of Devonport citizens as well. I was able to introduce myself to and explain that I wasn't working. I was an elected member of council, and this is just how I like to spend my Saturday nights, talking to people exiting the car park. Now, I did think on reflection, if I wasn't there, that would have been an absolute mess, because as soon as you got 2 or 3 cars, there's nowhere to reverse. I thought, there's an opportunity to improve here. So it's excellent that through that recommendation, we would have the registration ID, and that shouldn't happen, hopefully, right? Although, as I said, I turned what was potentially a lot of headaches for a lot of people into a real opportunity to meet one of their local councillors. I did notice through the report that it would be a cost of $340,000, but this was mentioned by Councillor Murphy, there's efficiencies there that we would save at a rate of in excess of $95,000 per annum. So my quick math is pretty good. That means in 4 years, less than 4 years, it's effectively paid for itself. Is that? Yeah, and I'm assuming that those efficiencies are coming from not having to collect coins, or is there something that I've missed?
Richard,
Through you, Mayor. There's a number of things, but the intercom being one. So had the people have rang, yes, they would have been speaking to a security company, and they can raise the gates and whatnot. But yes, there are a number of issues with trying to run that car park remotely, as opposed to you stepping.
My time was free that night, but that's all I've got. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? If not, Councillor Hollister to close, please.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
And against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.5 is the Rook Street Walk activation. The recommendation is there. If I could have a move, please.
So moved.
Oh, Councillor Murphy and Councillor Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor.
I did. I was.
We right?
Yeah.
Look, this is fairly exciting. One, the community's been very vocal and very clear the fact that it doesn't want to lose its mall. But more importantly, the opportunity this presents with respect to, again, thinking outside the square, if you like, revamping a space that is well patronised by a lot of people. With Living City and the construction of the hotel, the Novotel sitting on the corner, it's amazing when you're sort of working on the periphery of the mall, how many people wander or they meander out of the hotel and into something that they haven't seen since the 80s, well, interstate. But the opportunity that this presents for us to take something that is, let's be honest, is quite sterile. It's nothing overly inviting. It's very rigid. But to take this opportunity to really get creative, I think is significant, and it really should, and I think it will, become a real focal point and a real opportunity for Devonporters, not just the retailers, but members of the community themselves. Having travelled recently, I did spend a fair bit of time paying particular attention to similar type spaces in reasonable size or equivalent size cities. And I think that's the key word, similar size cities. We're not Geelong, we're not Melbourne. We are Devonport and we are unique. And I think this is an opportunity, again, as I said, to think outside the square and to provide something different that is going to be a catalyst to seeing more people be engaged in that space, but also to make it attractive for a number of other reasons, to showcase Tasmania's natural environment for the visitors that come here to Devonport. So, look, it's a really exciting time. I think this is going to, as we continue to work through this and consider all the options that will be presented to us, a really significant opportunity, and I commend my fellow councillors to support the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Sheen.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions for you, Mayor. The allowance of $250,000. Am I correct in thinking that that's the landscaping component, and the pop-up budget is something that we'll be discussing in the budget and last year? I'll let you answer. I do have two more questions.
Through you there on those 2 points, and the landscaping allocation of an estimate of 250 will be discussed as part of the council budget process this year. That's an estimate at this stage, but there are some options to consider. For the pop-up structures, there are a number of other options for council to consider as well, between hire and purchase of those structures, and they will have a different impact on council's budget being operational or capital expense. So possibly a similar budget application depending on the scale and nature of those structures, but there are some other options for council to consider there as well.
Thank you. I'd just like to flag, when that does come up for budget discussion with the landscaping, I'd like to advocate for treatment at the top of Brook Street as well, not just exclusive to the mall, so that we can see how it works in a high street capacity as well as the mall. My second question is with the pop-up. Sorry, I'll try and run through, but I've been pretty quiet this meeting, so I'm going to grab some time. With the pop-up, my concern that I've expressed previously is that it's great, it's new, but the last thing you want is it to be dead. You know, if you're walking through the mall, there's going to be someone in there doing something interesting whenever the other shops are open, and I'm just concerned about the volume of take up for that. And the 2 pop-ups concerned me. So if we sign off on the motion, is there flexibility to look at just 1 to start with, or is it, you've mentioned 2 in the agenda?
Through you, Mayor, the recommendation is up to 2, and certainly discussion and advice provided to council at the workshop is that there have been some mixed sentiment from existing retailers in regards to the pop-up, so that's something that we need to do some further work on with the existing retailers and develop a robust model there in terms of utilisation. I think that's why the recommendation also talks about options for potential hire, not permanent purchase. You certainly seasonality is something that's a challenge with the mall at the moment across a retail here as well, and capacity for retailers to support, engage with those opportunities at different times of the year is variable.
Correct, yeah. And you mentioned operators. I'll just loop back to a concern I've raised before. Engagement, a bit more engagement with building owners. I assume we have access to all their contact data as a council. Is there a plan in place to sort of bring them into discussions a little more? The emphasis has sort of been skewed towards customers, retailers, but not the actual people that own the bricks and mortar that are going to be affected by these decisions.
Through you, Mayor, certainly the survey process that we undertook provided the opportunity for property owners to self-identify. We did have a low response rate or identified response rate from property owners. In relation to council's ownership database, we are cautious around personal information. What the reason the council holds that information for rateable purposes and what we can actually use that for in alternative settings. So we can certainly provide some more advice to council around what we're able to use that database for. We certainly have had staff on the ground dealing with retailers directly with that. We recognise that that's not always property owner. So there are some concerns around and some restrictions around what we can use property owner information for those under certain purposes.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly important group to bring into discussion. So look forward to talking about that a bit more. And finally, it's very 90s in presentation at the moment. Like Councillor Murphy, I was lucky enough to travel overseas over summer to New Zealand, and a lot of their malls are really fresh and contemporary. And I sort of came home and looked at this one. I don't think the landscaping and pop-ups are really going to tackle that issue. But I hope during budget deliberations we can sort of find some money to keep working on a strategy, because, you know, as the report indicates, it is the most popular part of the city. We've got Haynes Place, we've invested millions in Market Square. These two areas are fantastic, very high level of presentation, contemporary. You go to the mall where most people are heading first. It just doesn't cut the mustard. So we need to do a bit more than new pot plants and pop up. I really look forward to sort of getting stuck into that conversation during budget. But thank you for all your hard work on it today. Cheers.
Thank you. Any comments, Councillor Ennis?
Thank you. One of the things that when looking at the overwhelming amount of feedback that we got when we did this community survey, etc., number one is by a fair way is landscaping, or as I like to call it, building nature in.
Yeah.
The building nature in part will really make a big difference to our mall. Everyone knows that the building nature in is a really important part of being comfortable, feeling relaxed, and just having a nice safe space there. That will certainly help. And I think that's a really good thing. I do like the idea that the fact that we're not going to go all in to start with. We're going to do a section and a trial and get some feedback after 12 months, because this is a space that's loved by our community. We need to make it as good as we can, and by letting people know that we're going to fly or something. We're not just going to do something and say, here it is. We're going to say, try this, let's see, get some feedback, and let's then expand, and then we can come up with something whiz bang and it'll be fantastic in the end. So I'll be certainly supporting this. I think it's a great thing that we can build on, because our city can be unique, and people will come and visit, and we have a lot of visitors now, but we'll have more in the future, and they will come and we want them to come and leave with the thoughts that, wow, that place is really ticking ahead and going on. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think this is a great action that we're taking, certainly involving and bringing the community and businesses together to design something or to experience something that further beautify and increase the experience of our visitors. I have a suggestion that we should be an extension of Victoria Parade, that we should look at our maritime connection, which our community is quite proud of. We do have the Bass Strait Maritime Museum, and we could put a meandering river theme through the mall, through the streets, which would be welcoming and relaxing, and also display who we are without having signboards up, or just visiting and seeing and experiencing themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister?
I'm going to support the recommendation, but unfortunately, this has been my fourth upgrade of the mall, and I think we need to somehow cover some of it with a decent sized sale cost that's actually waterproof. The small sale costs we've got in there for shade now, they don't serve the purpose very well. And I think everybody has said over the years that it should be roofed. We all know that it's far too expensive, but years ago they talked about over 9 million. Sale costs won't cost anywhere near that, and we'll do a similar job whether you covered, say, a set of poles with it, or even in between the poles. You can do one and see how it goes. If it doesn't work, you move it out to the butt to cover some of the new playground equipment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vilchinsky?
Thanks, ma'am. I think this is the beginning of where we could be with our city. We definitely do need to upgrade our CBD, or the mall as such. A strong business district, CBD, is a central part of economics and cultural vitality for a city. So you need the growth and job creation, the culture, social hub, a vibrant mix between retail, entertainment, dining, events, fostering lively atmosphere and a community, a sense of community. The community has spoken that they do want the mall. They want it as a meeting place. And guess what? They actually buy and do things. So those retailers that are there or within the area would very pleasing to have them a part of it. I see it as a beginning of what our city could brand ourselves, and I come to Councillor Martin's idea. My idea of branding the city is from under the overpass along Formby Road, along to the main CBD area. And I think this would then link Laneway, Edward Street, Market Square with good signage, QR codes so they know where they're going. I've actually been up and down Stewart Street a few times in the last couple of weeks, and people with their phones trying to find something. And I'm not sure what they're trying. I didn't stop and ask, but they're visitors trying to find something in our city. So we need to develop our IT, our interaction of what they can find, e.g. parking, live areas where they can go. It can join Harriscarf and whatever's going to happen in behind Market Square. It also has Coles Woolworths site, and then you go on to the Four Ways William Street. If we could put that whole package together with some unique signage, branding ideas, interaction, 3D stuff, it would make Devonport pretty cool. And I'd love to be a part of that. But the mall is the beginning. And I might have to hound young Matt to oh, young Matt, oh, sorry. To show what can happen to a city if you connect them, connect the streets, walkability, cycling and transport. This is the beginning. It's beautiful. I just hope we can continue with something really strong.
Thank you. Councillor Barney.
Thank you, Matt. So after reading this report and some of the other ideas that are around the table from the other councillors, it's great. And I think there's so much potential for this space. I think the overwhelming consensus from the surveys that have been conducted on numerous occasions and using careful words here, the sentiment around the table as well, that this council is not going to open up the mall for traffic. Let's just move past that. We're not making a road. We can all agree on that. So the next thing is, let's not make it look like an old road, because that's currently what the mall looks like, an old, tired road with some stuff there to try and disguise it really poorly. So I echo the sentiment here. We need to make that space something that's inviting, it's comfortable, it's safe, it's warm, it's sheltered, it's beautiful, and ultimately it's somewhere where you want to stay for longer, because no one wants to stand on an old road. I think it's a great idea that we're doing a 12-month trial, as Councillor Ennis said. We'll see if it works. Do people like it? What's the response? But as Councillor Ruczynski just mentioned, this is the start of something. It gives the council direction forward, and I too look forward to seeing that space change in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. For the comments, yeah, we're going to zhuzh it up. That's the word, isn't it? I think it'll be great. This is just a start. This is a trial. That's exactly what our consultant had said to us. Don't just rip things up and change things 100%. Let's just do these little bits and pieces at a time, see how they get the feel for it, see how the retailers feel in the community, and just, trial by error, I guess is what you call it. So it'll be very interesting to see how this is all taken on. If I might ask through to Mr. Skirving, just one big request in the survey that was done is the public toilets. So is that going to be, I know that this is not this part of it, but is that going to be something that we take notice of as well going forward very into the near future?
In response to your question, Mayor, there's an existing project for renewal of the Stewart Street toilet facilities. We are also doing some work on the precinct behind Current Mall to the east of the mall at the moment. Obviously, there's a fairly tired public amenity in the Formby Road car park as well that served the community well for a long time, but is in need of renewal as well. And that would be before council to consider into the future priorities in terms of the capital budget.
Thank you. If there wasn't any more questions after that, I will ask Councillor Murphy to follow.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, fellow councillors. A couple of things worth mentioning that I sort of may have forgotten about my initial opening, but and the fact is the data and the level of data that we collected here around the heat map, and it's in the report there, and just how technical that is with respect to getting an understanding of how many people are in that space and the spaces around it adjoining that, which was really valuable in coming to the conclusion that that space is being utilised to an extremely high point. So really, really important information, and it really gives you, it's good in one hand, frightening in the other. The Big Brother's watching and knows where you are at all times. So it's really, really good. But I think the most exciting thing for me, and I wish to apologise to Councillor Rennis because we had a conversation around this. I think there's a really big opportunity here for Devonport to really capitalise on building nature in. And I think it should become almost a catch cry for them all, because I think that's going to be something that's going to excite the community, and it's going to get them engaged. I commend him for that. We were very fortunate to have him speak at Rotary Club, and when it came to the mall, the opportunity that exists there, and I think we should be very conscious of our language and promoting the opportunity around building nature in, because it's not about greening a space. You know, you can green a space easily, but to build nature in, it's going to resonate with a lot of people, and they're going to understand it better. And I think to get that engagement and having that opportunity by doing this in stages and in small steps and seeking that feedback, and again, being the smart city we are, providing members of the community, visitors alike, the opportunity through QR codes to provide that feedback is going to be integral to the direction in which we go. And I think the other side of the coin is too the fact that we have Mr. Skirving, who's driving this particular project, and the skills and the knowledge that he can provide to partake his experiences and expertise to councillors to make some really, really good decisions. And you can see the work that's gone into this report with respect to providing that information, and the work that's gone behind it is really incredible. And it's very public now that the Days building is on the market. There's a real opportunity to potentially sort of, flow out of the mall and into that, this big front tooth that's adjoining the other front tooth of the Novotel, an iconic building of the mall, because the Days building is technically part of the mall, if you like, even though it's on the road. But it's all good. But I think if we can focus on that terminology and really communicate that message effectively to members out and bring them along for the journey by building nature into our mall, I think it's a significant opportunity. So with that, Mayor, consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Item 6 is information. 6.1 is the workshops and briefing sessions. If I could have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Hollister, I think.
Second.
And Councillor Merton. Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
Nothing further to add, it's all here to read.
Thank you,
Just on our
Councillor Merton.
workshops.
Yes, Mayor, some very interesting information at those workshops.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? If not, councillor Hollister to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 6.2 is the Mayor's monthly report. If I can have a mover, please. Councillor Wilczynski and a
Second.
seconder. Councillor Murphy, thank you. Councillor Wilczynski.
No, it's all listed there and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Yes, Mayor, contrary to earlier questions, you've been very busy. However, how exciting is the progress of the Devonport City Soccer Club, the Strikers there? The tour would have been fantastic. It's really coming up out of the ground. It's going to be a great space. It's really important that council gets behind these community type projects because they're only going to benefit Devonport in the long run. Well done, Mayor.
Thank you. And we were very impressed. Can't wait to get you all to come and see it when it's finished. I think it's almost there. Councillor Hollister.
Question, we had a meeting with the Devonport Municipal Band. Any further reports on where they're going to move to? What extra support council can give them?
No, just opening up the dialogue for them to be a bit more open about what could happen or where they could go. And they're going to have some talk to some of the staff here about that and some of the options that they might have, which is good. Just keeping in touch with them to make sure that they know that they're not forgotten.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Not, I will ask Councillor Wilczynski to consider it, please. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 6.3 is the CEO's report. If I could have a mover, please. Councillor Sheen and a seconder.
Second.
Councillor Ennis. Thank you. Councillor Sheen.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a question regarding 2.1, the Devonport Chamber of Commerce Regional Economic Outlook Conference. We had I thought it was very well done. Would have been nice if there were a few more local businesses there, but it sounded like well attended. We had a conversation regarding the appointment of, and I'd probably get the name wrong, but UTAS has appointed an economic development, say, advisor. Might be wrong. We discussed getting that resource up on the coast due to what I think everyone Blake admitted was sort of a muted voice regarding advocacy for regional economic development on the North West Coast. Has there been any update on that?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, nothing specific that we can provide, but we did get access to the slides that the professor used at that presentation, and they were quite compelling around the need for university access in Devonport and how we were missing out around that. So that's something we can share with councillors and certainly following up on that other issue that you mentioned about nothing further. There's building street.
Well, good. Councillor Ennis. You're right, Councillor Sheen.
Yep, thank you.
Councillor Ennis.
Thank you. I've got a question about the proposed black box theatre. Was there any appetite to support us in going forward in discussions?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. It's always hard to tell. It was well received, but there's been no funding announcement at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from the councillors? If not, I will ask Councillor Sheen.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to underscore my point, UTAS have a really privileged position on the coast of being able to access some great minds and thought leaders. They really need to step up and start focusing on issues that relate to the coast's economic development. They've indicated that they're keen to do so, but we really need to see that happening. There's just a vacuum of discussion on new ideas. It can't be left to the local council and chambers of commerce. We need more input from UTAS. Consider the motion closed. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 6.4 is the monthly operational report. If I can have a move, please.
Sorry.
Councillor Viney. And the seconder? Seconder? Councillor Wilczynski, thank you. Councillor Viney.
Thank you, Mayor. I know everybody missed me last month. I didn't get to throw in my 10 cents about all the great stuff that's happening around the city, but I was watching online. And I feel like the enthusiasm was lifted during this segment of the agenda. So there's a few things I'd like to mention. The citizenship ceremony from last month. Presuming that's the second one for the year. And then is there two more that we have? Is there
four or five?
4 or 5? It's worth.
Well, one next one.
I was just about to say, through you, Mayor, I'm not sure, I think it was the first one, but we've got the second one coming up.
Right, okay.
That'll be the third because we had Australia Day.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
That's right.
so just to point out that there is multiple opportunities for citizenship ceremonies throughout the year. Also the International Women's Day celebrations, the Harmony Day celebrations, my beautiful wife Kelly's graduation in the Paranapple Centre was excellent, and a compliment to the council staff that are involved with organising that. I think all of those, and that's just, a shotgun approach. There's so many opportunities to celebrate our community. Very excited to see that Sprayton Connector pathway is now completed and open. Although generally when I get to that part of the run, that's about the time I need to start turning around anyway, but maybe I can get someone to pick me up from Wood Rising Avenue now. There's a continuous path all the way from Victoria Parade, and it's safe. And it's not too smelly at the back of the abattoir and the tip. Just reminded me that, again, that Coiber area, I'm not a real estate mogul or work in real estate, but I reckon it's on the up, is my tip. The sports infrastructure that's, as mentioned, coming up out of the Grand Valley Road precinct with the grandstand, Devonport Oval precinct is moving along. All positive, to things that we can celebrate that as a community and as a council we're moving forward on. So again, that I see Devonport just being the sports hub of the greater coastal area and possibly, dare I say, northern Tasmania. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Councillor Wilczynski.
Nothing further to it. Sorry, I was going through just see where young councillor was looking at. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the councillors? Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just my usual observation, I've become a bit like Councillor Viney. Sort of find my one or two things within the report, because it is a very detailed report. Just looking at our car parking revenue, because it's always a popular topic within the community, and that the Fenway car park up 61%. That's a huge leap. Is there any reasoning behind that we're aware of to see such increased usage, or is that just due to construction in that area?
Through you, Mayor, I wouldn't get too excited. 61% sounds a lot, but in dollar terms, it's not massive dollars. We made some assumptions at budget stage last year in regards to the construction that would occur in that area and the effect that it had on the car parking, and we are ahead of budget.
Yeah, I thank you. With 30% ahead in budgets, that's not too bad to be 30% ahead in budget. If the budget was only 18,000 and we've sort of 30,000, that's pretty good. 61% is not a bad number then.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions?
Yes,
Councillor.
thank you. I was involved in the cleaning up around Coles Beach Road, and I was amazed, and it says in here, at the end of the cleanup, there was a count 1,250 cigarette butts that we picked up. I didn't pick everyone up, picked a few up, but I just can't believe it. There's bins there, and right near the bins, they must be my smoke and just put their rubbish down. Surely we should be able to move beyond that. leaving it for people to volunteer and head down and pick up all the rubbish. So it'd be great if more people took pride in our place. It's not only cigarette butts, but that was one of the things that stood out.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister?
What I did observe in 32.2 from 3. Where are we? Central Northfields Naturalists conducted the flora survey at Mine Bear Reserve. Were they the same group that used to run the field naturalist area out by the pumping station and near the Scouts? The council took it over many years ago. It was another group.
How many years ago?
Took a long time.
Sorry, Councillor Hollister, you are the veteran.
Yeah, no,
Not sure there.
No. But the council took that over, and I don't know what's happened to it since. It's quite a few acres. But it was over to some forest work, I don't know.
Okay. Well, might have to find out for you.
Good.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? I might just add, if I could, just to highlight the community development in community services, take a minute, youth mental health workshops. We highlight what's going on just lately. I know there's a huge issue like in Queensland, for example, with youth. There's trouble everywhere. We have a lot of trouble. We have vandalism, we have things. There's been a lot of trouble in Glenorchy just recently. It's highlighting a lot of things, and the Premier's coming out tonight and commenting on what he's going to try to do about that. Not an easy fix, but to try and be reactive than proactive, proactive than reactive, this is a great idea. And I'm really happy to see that has been taken up here. So this is the Mental Health Council of Tasmania to deliver Take a Minute with the Youth, a mental health initiative aimed at increasing awareness and resilience amongst young people. Workshops were held at local schools and youth groups using evidence-based resources from Be Well Co. What a great thing to do, and I hope we see more of that, because that's one thing that we could do and be better at it going forward to try and fix this issue that is just escalating around us. And I really commend those that have been involved in that as well. Saying that, I will ask Councillor Viney to close a little bit.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a bit surprised that Councillor Moore didn't mention the Facebook post, so I'll just slip that in quickly. There's 2 in the top 10 actually about the softball installation at the bottom of the slide at the waterfront playground. And as a user and a father who watches my kids whiz down there, it has improved the safety. It is still a very fast slide. So dare I say there's quite a steep learning curve to it. Thank you, Mayor.
No pun intended. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So therefore, we're moving into item 7, closed sessions. If I can have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy and the seconder.
Second.
Councillor Viney. Councillor Murphy.
Really procedural, man.
It's lady. Councillor Viney.
I agree. It's just a procedure.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the councillors? If not, I will ask Councillor Murphy to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, everybody that's gone already.